family. They use divers, swimmer arms, and scuba divers. So what I want you to do is make sure you have your paper, and we're going to work on it together. So we're going to just do a warm up. So first, we make sure that when we dive, an L is a diver. So we're going to dive, put our pencil on the top line and dive straight down. There you go. This is just our warm up. So that's an L. And maybe I'll practice finger space while I'm at it. I'm going to give myself some space. Here's an I, middle line, dive down. There's a dot. No sinkers, no floaters. Touch, touch, touch. My T, top line, dive down. Then we cross at the middle line. You see, it's all using a top, middle, bottom. We don't float around. Here's an F. I start here and I make my curve, but I make sure I touch the top line, dive straight down, and I cross at the middle. And we know that a J is a scuba diver. So we go middle line like the I, dive from the middle line down, but then we get to go underneath the water, underneath the bottom line, and hook, and there's our dot. And the R, it has a swimmer arm. So we dive from the middle line, and then we go back up to the middle, and we make our little swimmer arm. That's your R. Then your N, middle line, dive down. So basically, this is just our warm-up. Go back to the top middle line and make the swimmer arm. Don't go past that, ride that middle line and dive straight down. There's your N. So making an M is just a double N, right? Middle line, dive from the middle line, down, swimmer arm, whoop, now down again. Okay, now we go back. We don't push ourselves up. If you push yourself back, you're going to end up with a valley. So here, middle line right there, and I'm going to make my swimmer arm like the R. Do you see that? Like an R, huh? Then you dive back down. That's your M. P. P is a scuba diver. It gets to go all the way past and under the water. So go all the way past the bottom line. And then you make your swimmer arm again. See my swimmer arm? Then I dive around, down. P. H. H, dive from the top line down to the bottom line. I stop. See, like the swimmer arm R. There we go. Look, do you see the R? Now I go all the way down. Here's my H. The B, remember, if we don't want a backward B and we want a B and not a D, we make the honey bee. So I call it my honey bee first. From the top line, dive down. My swimmer arm. Oops, don't go past the middle line. Now honey. Honey, doesn't that look like a honey? Bee. Honey bee. See? My honey bee. All right, and we always say when you make a honey bee, your bee will never be backwards. The U is like the diver that goes from the middle line, dive back down and curve and go back for air. There you go. Then dive back down. Okay, that was our warm up. Now once we practice this, you check yourself, you top, bottom, top, bottom, middle, bottom. So touch, 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 no floating letters, just perfect. Now I want to review with you that a sentence needs capital in the beginning of a sentence, and the word I is always capitalized, and names always has a capital, but everything else uses lowercase. So here is my finger space. You need spaces to separate your words. And when you're done telling your sentence, you need to put a period to know when you need to stop. So look at these words. I just bundled them up. You cannot tell that I have a sentence here. Look at these. These are just letters. But watch when I start using my finger space. Ah! Don't do that. Whoa. Let's do this again. Erase. Come on, erase, erase, erase. Okay, get my arrow here now. Just watch me as I turn these letters into a sentence. Okay, look, you cannot tell that I have a sentence here because I did not use a finger space. So watch me move this, and all of a sudden you will see it. And when you start seeing it, you will realize Mrs. Kogan actually has a sentence in here. Okay. So I'm moving things around. I'm going to try and put spaces in them. Now, do you see my sentence? Space, space, space. Okay. And what do we need at the end of a sentence? A period, huh? So if you think you can read this sentence, I bump into, oh, I didn't put an O here because O is not part of my my diver and swimmer team, but I'm going to put an O in here because I know you know how to use an O, but that wasn't just part of our warm up, right? So I'm going to put my O here. There we go. Here, I bump into Jill. Period. Now, what makes this easier to read? Because I separated the sentence and the words using a space. Space, space. Now you can read it. It says, I bump into Jill. Period. I bump into Jill. And it's easy to read because we have spaces. So now we use space. Do you know what else a sentence needs? A capital. So there you go. The I needs a capital because the word I is always capitalized. It's a name you call yourself. And it's the beginning of the sentence here. And there's one more that needs a cap. And it's Jill. Jill needs a cap because Jill is a name. So here you go. I am going to write it now. Now you can write it with me. You know the word I is capitalized. So here we go because it's the beginning of a sentence. I. Okay. Now look, there's a space. So I will use my finger space here. Then I will write bump. Okay. Bump. Hmm. Okay. Bump. Remember, I'm using my middle lines to touch, no floaters, no sinkers. I space, bump. There's a space there. So I have to move my finger space, put it next to the last letter. Then I will start writing. I bump finger space into. Okay, everything else has to be lowercase. In. See, boys and girls, I'm not rushing because I'm practicing my penmanship. Touching the top, the bottom, cross at the middle. If you're doing it with me, you are awesome. Look, my O. Do you see that? Then magic scene, into. Then, oh, there's a space because into is a different word. So move your finger, put your finger space down. Into. I bump into Jill. Oh, Jill is a name, so I must use a capital. So here you go, capitalize the J. So the J is from the top line. You don't scuba dive. There's my J. J. I bump into Jill. J. Ill. Middle line. Top line, dive down, Jill. And what do we do? What do we use at the end of a sentence? A period. There we go. And a period doesn't float either. It goes right there next to the last letter. Not, you don't space that, okay? And there. See? Period. So let's read it together. I bump into Jill. There you go. See, I copied it right there. So your writing paper should have the warm up and it should have this sentence as well. Okay, and you know that a sentence need a capital, spaces between the words, and a period. Okay, so let's do this. The second sentence. Do you see a sentence in here? Can you read that? No. What's wrong with this? It needs spaces. So I'm going to start moving them and see if you can start reading it when I move them around. Go here. See, now I'm going to space it, and all of a sudden we see. Now, if you can read it, smile, read it out loud to yourself, get all excited if you can read this. Okay, so I'm just moving it around, right? Now do you see, and one finger space, now do you see the sentence? Can you read the sentence? Whoa, so let's read it together. Finn bit him. Finn bit him. That's not nice, but it makes sense, doesn't it? So once I put finger space in the sentence, you can see that it makes sense. So a sentence need finger spaces, so you have to separate the words so your readers can read it. When I didn't use finger space, I couldn't read it. But once you use finger space, other people can read it too. So the sentence reads, Finn bit him. Okay. So let's say it. And a sentence need a capital. Capital here? Nope. Here? Nope. Here. Finn. Finn is a name, so Finn needs a capital, and Finn is in the beginning of a sentence. Then you need to space. Space. So it's a, capital, space, space, and what's the end of a sentence? A period. That's what we need. So let's copy the sentence using capital, space, space, period, and please, please focus on penmanship. All right, because remember, to be an awesome kindergarten writer and to show your first grade teacher you know how to write, you have to be able to show that you can use a capital in the right spot, spaces between words, and a period at the end of your sentence. And the only way your teacher knows that your capitals are correctly used is when you can use the top, middle, and bottom. So Finn, we know, is the beginning of a sentence, and it's a name of a person. So I'm going to write fa, I, and lowercase the rest, Finn. Oops, Finn. Come on, Finn. Finn. Finn is a name. I know Fox has a brother named Finn. Finn. Okay. Now I have to space, right? Because I'm going to write the word bit. Finn bit him. That wasn't very nice. Die from the top to the bottom. Honey. Ba. It. Top line. Dive down. Cross at the middle. Use your tracks. Finn bit him. So let's space. Space goes right after last letter. Finn bit him. Ha, honey, ha. Okay, swimmer arm, right? Him. Middle line, dive down, swimmer arm, right? Then down. Go back up to the middle line. Yeah. Finn bit him. Period. Because I'm done talking. Okay, and remember the period goes right next to the last letter. So let's review. When we write a sentence, we need a capital in the beginning of a sentence or a name. Finn bit him. So capital, space, space, and a period. So whenever